Hi, I'm Jermaine. Welcome to my channel. You're joining me here in my garden in Switzerland, Central Europe. And today I'll be working in this flower bed right behind me. Today I'd like to start working on restructuring the flower bed a little bit, trying to put things together that belong together and perhaps taking out the stuff that maybe shouldn't have been placed there in the first place. So let's take a look. So I don't know if you remember the first video that we did on planting this flower bed right here. That was back in spring, and we only used to have pansies here with some tulips. Since then I've added many plants here, including those that I had in the ground already that I planted back in fall last year, and everything has come to life now. Looking at the situation right now, it's hard to think how far this flower bed has come and how full it is. But I recognize that I need to put in some structure. So I'll be taking out that fountain grass behind the gay feathers and the other one that I have behind this small hydrangea. I'll also be removing the Swedish ivy that is growing down there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it. I have one on this side and I have another one over here. I'll be taking those two out, and I think already we'll see more air flowing in the flower bed and more space for the rest of the plants. This is beginning of August, and for most plants back here, this is their best time. They're blooming and loving the weather, so it may not be the best time to transplant most of these things. However, both the purple fountain grass and the Swedish ivy are going to last until late in the season. So I think they still have time to establish in a new position or in a container. So I've dug up the two purple fountain grasses with as much dirt as possible, just to try to maintain the root ball and avoid stressing the plant a little bit while it makes the transition from the flower bed into the container. And I'm doing the same while digging up the Swedish ivies, trying to maintain the root ball, and that means taking up a bit more dirt. So now that I've removed the ivy and the purple fountain grasses, we can already see that there is more space for the rest of the plants, and that means more airflow and better development for all the other plants. So both the fountain grass and the Swedish ivy are annuals here in Switzerland, zone 8A, and that means that both these plants are only annuals, they're one seasoners, and but I could be lucky and they might come back again next year. Well, we're already here in the front yard where I'll be putting together the flower containers. So initially I wasn't sure which pot size I should use, but now with the plants here in front and looking at the containers, I think I'll go with the bigger one. This large container here in front, I have it in a set. I have two others which are currently housing the jasmine and the petunias. So let's get started with filling up the container. I always use this granulate at the bottom of my container just to help with the drainage. So this is foamed clay material that also helps reduce the weight of the container because it's very light. So that's how far I got before my battery died, but I went ahead and completed one container already, and now you can already see what I'm trying to create here. So this mom that you see right here, I had to get it from the shop just to add a bit more pop into the flower container arrangement. So now let's do the second container step by step so you can see how we got the result. So I like to use mulch in my containers just because it works so far for me, and usually I'll use potting soil at the bottom of the container, and then I also use very rich compost soil, just a mixture of both. And then usually I put in a slow release fertilizer in granulate form. This works for me, so I'm maintaining that. I usually also add in a fertilizer that is available immediately to the plant, in addition to the slow release fertilizer, which is going to be only available like in the course of 3 months' time. And once I've mixed the soil in the pot, I'll then bring in the plants. Again, trying to maintain the root ball as much as possible, trying to avoid stressing the plant so that it can just continue its development without, any difficulties. So I have the fountain grass and the ivy in, and looking over here on this side, you can see that I trimmed that one back pretty much. And I need to do the same on this side. So I'll be using some of the wine of the Swedish ivy as foliage because I like the color of it, and I can just wrap it around the fountain grass, and that looks really nice. So I decided to add in some flamingo cranberry mums in this container because I think it goes really well with the purple fountain grass and this Swedish ivy. I think it looks really nice. I got two. One was blooming already, and the other one had its buds still closed. I switched it between the containers, but now I think this is the end result. So this is what we have right now. I think the flamingo cranberry red mums, it goes really well with this Swedish ivy and purple fountain grass. So I'm really happy with how these containers have come together. So this is the other cranberry red flamingo mum that is not yet blooming. I think it's going to take a couple of days, but the bulbs will open and it would look just amazing. So I decided to add my Supertunia Bordeaux that I had in the other containers to the mix here, just to match it a bit more to the main container with the fountain grass and the skyrocket grass. Voila, now I think all three containers match pretty much perfectly. I think the Supertunia Bordeaux and the double wave petunia that we have in the big container, in the larger one, mirror each other a little bit, and the whole ensemble goes together pretty well. So I'm very happy with the look of this. So again, here is the cranberry flamingo red mum that is not yet blooming, next to the Supertunia Bordeaux. And then we have the purple fountain grass and the Swedish ivy in the two new containers. So happy with how these two new containers have turned out here in front. Now it's time to go back in the backyard and arrange the flower bed and weed, mulch, and perhaps remove more plants. So here in the backyard, I'm going to be weeding, mulching, pruning, and perhaps taking out the plants that we don't, like here anymore. So let's see how it goes. So it's all done now. I think it looks much better than what it did yesterday or earlier today. I've removed the fountain grasses and the Swedish ivy, and that has created more room for the other plants to develop. I have also weeded and mulched, fertilized, pruned some of the flowers, and that gives the bed, the whole bed, a new kind of like a reset. So I'm pretty happy with that. Again, as I said at the beginning, a few things here may seem out of place, but it's not the right time to remove them or to transplant them. So I'm just going to let them be until the end of the season, and then I'll see what I can remove and group together. So that was it. I'm really happy that I was able to get all this done today.
Bye.